And good morning to you. It is Saturday in West Tennessee. Welcome to 93.1 and Tricks of the Trade. Let's bring in West Tennessee's premier honeydew helper, John Allen. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Jim. How are you this morning?
I'm doing okay, I think. If we can get the right mic turned on there, go ahead.
I said, good morning, Jim. How are you?
There you go. Got you done loud and clear there.
Isn't technology wonderful?
It's going to be one of those mornings, I can tell it already. So let's go ahead and get the phone numbers out there. We're going to let you call in, and we need you to call in because John had rather you talk than to hear himself.
Babble.
You
there
got
we
it.
go.
731-891-6161 is the call-in number here at the board. And Victory Honda text line is open also if you'd rather do it that way, 731-410-7560. So we're off and running on a Saturday morning with no alarm clock and computers that are doing their own thing.
Yeah, literally running this morning. Hadn't been long since I was in the bed.
I am so paranoid about being late for something, you know, that like in this morning I set my clock for X time, and then my wife sets hers 10 minutes later just in case mine don't go off.
It's a good idea.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, it is. I'm the same way. I like being punctual, and customers appreciate that. You know, if you say you're going to be there, you need to be there. Otherwise, they think you don't care.
You're exactly right. Exactly.
So,
they think that your time is more important than theirs is.
Exactly.
That's
right.
what my dear old daddy told me a long time ago.
That's right.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
Yep. So
Yeah, it's one of these mornings where you just don't know where you're going with things.
Yeah, which ends up. I understand.
But it's nice out, little heavy on the dew,
Yep.
and you know, my grass is about up to my knees right now, and it's so wet out there. You know, you wonder why you can't get it done.
Yeah.
And I asked the guy that cut my grass yesterday. I said, do I need to get somebody else to cut my grass? Where are you at? And he blamed it on Laura.
The storm.
And I said, my grass don't grow in Louisiana. And but that was his story. He was sticking with it. He said it was just too wet to get around.
That's well, you know, Laura came by my house too, and I mean the day after that last heavy rain, my guys were out there, and they got it mowed. I mean, my yard looks like a carpet right now.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Mine don't. It looks like a matted dog.
You look like linoleum.
Yeah, it's, you know, between my big pile of dead frogs and my patchy grass and all
a stinky dog running around.
And a stinky dog. That's right. That little frog dog. He was what a mess. But anyway.
Oh, me. Well, give us a call this morning, 731-891-6161. We'll think of something to talk about, but we'd rather talk about what you want to talk about and getting your honeydews done. So if you're working outside today, make sure you got that extension cord plugged in real tight while it's wet.
But while it's getting dry, and we can get into this because I'm just amazed at how many people don't know how to do this. And you're getting ready to cut your grass. It's one of these little home improvement tips I learned a long time ago. But from time to time, you got to sharpen your lawnmower blade.
Yeah. I always hated doing that. I don't know why.
It's just, I don't like it either. But, you know, after you've thrown a couple of 100 rocks and hit some sticks and try to cut down a small tree with it, you know, it gets dull from time to time.
It does.
And, you know, I always hated to have to get under there and take that blade off and do all that. And back in the days when I had a push mower, it always wondered, and I asked my granddaddy this one time, I said, sometime I turn this thing over on the side and everything's fine when I start it back up. And the next time I turn it on the side and I go to start it up, he gets to smoking and just all kinds of stuff. And I said, why do it do that? And he says, well, son, you got to keep your carburetor up. I didn't know what a carburetor was back then, but that's the deal right there. When you tilt your mower to the side in order to get the blades off, you turn it on the side to where the carburetor's up instead of down. Otherwise, your oil and your gas and whatever that push water juice you got in there is, it makes it.
They get together, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and it just gets to smoking and carrying on. So, anyway, if you've got to get out and maybe sharpen your mowers, you're gonna have to turn your mower over this morning and keep the carburetor up, and then get you a little block of wood and wedge it down between the mower deck and the blade so it doesn't spin. Now,
right.
Some of these old mowers, you got to unplug spark plug.
Oh, really?
Because you get to spinning it sometimes.
That's right. It'll fire it up, won't it?
It could fire it up. It could. Never had that happen, but I've always been warned about that. But then you get your socket and you take that nut out in the center of your blade,
mm-hmm.
and you're ready to file it. And that's where a lot of people mess up. You can really hurt a lawnmower blade by filing it wrong.
And you wouldn't think something that simple would have a right and a wrong to it, but it does, doesn't it?
Well, it does, because most people want to go grab an electric grinder and put that blade on a grinder, and they'll get it hot, and it'll turn blue on the edge, and you done ruined a perfectly good blade.
Yeah.
And but you just needed to kind of get it what you call butter knife sharp. In other words, you don't want it to cut the hair on your arm, but just you got a slant on that blade, and just stick with the slant that you got, which is it's a little less than a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
But the thing you want to do when you do that is you want to file it. You don't want to use a electric grinding rock and all that stuff. You get you what they call a bastard file.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. Now, that's not a file, doesn't have a daddy. That's just what it's called.
I was going to ask, but you answered the question. Thank you for not making me go there.
That's just the way it was. I can't help it.
It was there when you got there.
That's right.
Yeah.
I always had a giggle when somebody told me to go grab the bastard. So, I mean, so anyway, all it takes is about 20 or 30 whacks with that filing down.
Right.
You put it in the vise, and you can file it down with just a hand file.
Yep.
And then put it back on and fire it up, and there you go.
Off and mow, and make sure you get that nut tight.
That's right. Get the nut tight. Yeah. The nut tight.
Yeah.
And that blade's got 3 little pins there. The center one's where your nut goes. Mm-hmm. Then you got them little notches on each side. Right. Make sure you set it down in those notches.
Yeah, that's there for a reason.
Otherwise, when you cut your mower off, it's still spinning. It's one of those things. But
yeah, I think, and I was probably guilty of this when I first did one back years and years and years ago, filed one. A lot of people want to take that file and go down like you were sawing wood, down and back, down and back, down and back, down and back. But you only file with the angle, right?
Yeah,
so you just kind of give it
away from
couple of little hits and work your way down the blade.
And put your hand, now if you're right-handed, you'll hold on to the handle with your right hand. Take your left hand, put it on the end of the file. Mm-hmm. And you're just kind of going down in one motion, let up, and then go down again with one motion, and keep going till you get a nice edge on that thing. If you got a area where you hit a rock or two and you got a place kind of curled up right there, kind of file it down.
Yep.
And get it going. So, it's not that hard a thing to do, but biggest trouble I had is just finding my stuff, They always told me you're supposed to have a place for everything and everything in its place.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen.
No, my place is bigger, and it just kind of all gets shoved.
Yeah. I've always somebody to grab my socket before. I had it last time, and you have good intentions. It just doesn't work sometimes.
Don't you hate it when you get out there? And it don't matter what you're working on, but you get everything out there and you're ready to go, and you're running there, and you grab your socket set. And you walk out there and you look at it and say, looks like about a half. And you put your half-inch on there and you put it on there, and it don't quite work because the gum thing's got metric nuts in it.
Why did they do that?
I don't know. They did that at the same time when they switched from acres to hectares. You have never had a lot of fun until you've been in McNairy County trying to explain to a lifelong farmer how many of his hectares you were about to take.
Well, I just don't understand the significance of that. I thought M&Ms that were for eating.
Yeah, I did
at
too.
the end of my socket set. So, But yeah, they don't fit just right, and you use them, and you
Use
do.
them anyway.
You use them anyway, and you roll the edges on that nut.
That's true.
We all do that, folks.
We must do what we must do.
That's right. You can't help it. But anyway, where were we going with that?
We were filing a saw blade.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. It's not a saw blade.
Well, we got
have you ever sharpened a chainsaw blade? While we're talking about sharpening things,
with a little rat tail file.
Rat tail file. I've never done that because I was afraid I'd really mess it up.
I did it once or twice, and then I got Howard's phone number, and I take it to Howard now.
Yes, here.
And
call me when it's ready.
$1.50. Mm-hmm. He can sharpen it pretty good,
and not hurt anybody.
Mm-hmm. And you still got 10 fingers when you're all done. And but that's a lost art, sharpening blades, saw blades.
I'm sure.
You don't find people, because we live in a disposable society, and you got them at the big box stores where they sell them in little packs like Frisbees, and it's
you just put a new one on and move on down the line.
That's it. I just when I first started out, we had our carpenters. We asked them, when you get that blade gets dull, give it back to me. And we had a little nail, 16-penny nail nailed on the side of the shed where you put your old ones, and then we had a bigger nail on the other end for the new ones.
Right.
And when we'd get about 15, 20 of them up there, I could take them down to Howard, and he'd get the blades set and sharpened, and everything's fine.
Yeah.
And then I'd bring them back, and we'd get a new nail. But I bet I hadn't taken a load of. I bet it's been 7-8 years since I took a load of blades down.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the meantime, Howard died.
Yeah. Well, that's probably
he's not going to be filing them. He's filing them up in heaven right now.
That's right.
Anyway, I don't like that disposable society.
We are that, man. I'll tell you that. You're listening to Tricks of the Trade with John Allen here on 93.1 News Talk West Tennessee. 731-891-6161. We'll get you right into the board if you'd like to talk to John this morning, a project or a problem that you're dealing with. Victory Honda text line 410-7560. Right now, due to the expertise of Mr. John Rawl, we are on Facebook Live on y'all.com. That's Y, and leave the apostrophe out, YALL.com on Facebook. News Talk West Tennessee and News Talk Jackson on Facebook, and it'll be archived on YouTube a little bit later on in the morning if you're interested in such. And I know quite a few of you have been, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, we do. It's kind of fascinating to see that people are actually watching that.
Yeah, I know. You would think one look at us and they'd be gone.
That's right. He makes us look pretty.
Really? Wow. Ooh. He said about 3,000. I
thought 3 people were watching.
People, right? See, your wife, my wife, and your dog.
That's right. Yeah. Fuzzbutt's watching this morning.
That's hits. Is that what it's called? Hits. Views. Okay. All right.
Views.
Yeah. Not
so
bad.
They look at us, had enough, and gone to something else.
But at least they're looking.
That's right. At least they're looking. Made you look. All right.
We're talking about sharpening lawnmower blades today, and then we got off on chainsaw blades. I kind of ran you off down that rabbit run, but
we're gonna jump in the toilet right now.
Ooh-wee. I tell you what, let's do. Let's go change clothes before we do that.
Okay. And
hear from a couple of our sponsors that make this show possible, and we'll be back in about 90 seconds. Stay with us. This is Tricks of the Trade.
Best known as Lieutenant Dan in the movie Forrest Gump and an advocate for America's servicemen and women, will be the featured speaker for the 56th benefit dinner at Freed-Hardeman University on December 4th. Students need your help now more than ever. Help provide scholarships by visiting fhu.edu. Gary Sinise at the FHU Benefit Dinner. Get your tickets and sponsorship today.
Join your Jackson Symphony for our first concert of our 60th Diamond Anniversary season on Saturday, September the 12th. Returning soloist Erica Gabriel will blow you away as our orchestra takes the stage to celebrate our unsung heroes of the last few months. This entertaining one-hour concert at First Baptist Church will have 2 showtimes at 6 and 8 p.m. To allow for social distancing, masks are required. Tickets are $35 and are available by calling the Symphony office at 731-427-6440 or by visiting thejacksonsymphony.org. Limited tickets available at the door. See you at the Symphony.
Sakura Japanese Restaurant invites you to lunch today for only $7.95. Busy day? No problem. Sakura delivers. Sakura Japanese Restaurant is Jackson's original sushi bar with over 75 selections of fresh cooked and fried rolls. Sakura recently introduced the new Chinese menu. Impress your friends, family, and business clients this season with a Sakura meal or stuff their stockings with Sakura gift cards. Jackson's original sushi bar is Sakura, online and on Garage House Drive next to Gold's Gym. Yes, indeed. Saturday morning. This is Tricks of the Trade with John Allen. Glad to have you along this morning. 731-891-6161. And we know you're out there. Give us a buzz on the phone line, or if you want to text it in this morning, 731-410-7560. We're on y'all.com, News Talk West Tennessee, and News Talk Jackson on Facebook Live as we speak. Last week, I believe it was, we were talking about lumber, and somebody called in about some red cedar and that sort of thing. And you had a story about you and Granny.
Me and Granny was
borrowing logs,
cutting down that trace. They had really already fallen. We were cleaning up.
Oh, okay. You were doing forest.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
You're doing forest maintenance. That's what you were doing. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, we got a Facebook question for you, or a comment actually. It says, I work at a wholesale lumber yard, and we're having a hard time getting lumber.
Oh, yeah.
And then he says, we carry western red cedar also. That was, Gary Lee sent that in to us. So, Gary, thank you for that information. And, you mentioned that the other day, I think, either on Thursday or the other show. Lumber's hard to find.
And when you find it, it's expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, like, got a memo the other day, and I kid you not, this is, if I'm lying, I'm dying. A 2x6, 16-foot long has gone up 70%.
Really?
In the last month.
What's causing it? Are the mills shut down because of Corona, or what's
well,
going on?
Yeah, sort of.
Not the beer or the virus.
Maybe the beer is what. I'm not going there.
Never mind.
Never mind. Anyway, no. The situation is the places they get the lumber, they've caught the virus, and there's nobody there, and it's affected shipping.
Yep.
And you just can't get it, and it's one of those supply and demand situations, and kind of like plywood used to be years ago when a hurricane come through. You know, plywood would double in price.
Everybody in Florida and the coastline had it all snatched up. Up their houses.
It is. It's getting tough, and prices are just skyrocketing on just about everything right now, and it's a different world out there.
We have our first text of the morning. We appreciate that. That's on the Victory Honda text line. It says, I have seen Trex, T-R-E-X boards sold and used as fencing material in this. Is this really a good long-term application? Thanks.
Expensive. I mean, I don't think I'd want to do that.
Do they hold? I mean, obviously they'll hold up to the weather because that's what they're for. But when I've seen these people on television, here we go again with the television. But it looks like it's a little more flexible than a same size piece of wood.
It is. It's Trex excellent. It's an excellent product.
Yeah.
And you can't tear it up. And it's hard as a rock, and it'll survive all conditions of weather. But it is limber, and you've only got like the finish on it on one side. Like if you got a wood grain on it and the edges are rolled,
right.
The other side is smooth. So you'll have a good side of the fence, and then you'll have the plain side of the fence. You'll have to use, I like using Trek with clips. You don't see the nails,
right.
And that keeps it from being so limber. You can interlock one into the other, sort of.
Yeah.
So you got to place your braces and your runners that you're putting everything on. You got to space them to do that. But
would it work well on a standard, like a 6-foot fence? You have your standard 3-foot?
It'll work, but like I said, that's awful expensive.
Yeah.
Trek is it's an excellent product, but it is kind of pricey.
Yeah.
One board's going to run you $20-25 depending upon which brand you get.
Right.
And that gets kind of pricey if you're doing a big fence. Now, if you're doing something small, it might be all right.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, it'll work if your pocketbook's deep enough. So.
Yeah. and if you install it properly.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
One screw at the top and one screw at the bottom, that thing's probably going to wiggle on you.
Yeah, and leave the screws alone. Use the clips.
Use the clips, yeah.
And but if you're going to use screws on them, get the right kind and make sure that they're galvanized exterior screws.
Right.
Don't use a sheetrock screw because it'll rust on you for one thing, and it has absolutely zero tensile strength. In other words, you can just snap them off. So, just use the right kind of product when you use that.
There you go, Texter. Thanks a bunch. That's how easy it is. Contact John at 731-410-7560 on the Victory Honda text line. We need to talk to you this morning, so give us a buzz, 731-891-6161. What are you into this morning? What have you gotten yourself into that you need some help getting out of? We can help. John can help. I can sit over here and nod my head. Yep, sounds good to me.
We can make fun of it anyway.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
Hey,
yeah,
I'm
going. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say you teased everybody. Said you were going. We were fixing to jump into a commode. So last time we did that, you never know.
You never know. But
before you jump, get back up off the little diving board there.
Okay.
And tell the tidy man you'll be right there. Tidy bowl man.
Okay.
We got another text.
Okay.
Okay. It says, little old sheetrock screws don't get much love these days.
That's right.
And for good reason.
Well, I love sheetrock screws. Man, those little sharp points on them.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to drill a pilot hole, and they're easy to get started.
Yep.
And but they get used for the wrong reasons.
Right.
They're good for what they're supposed to be, but when people use them universal to replace nails and everything else, you can get yourself in trouble.
True.
One of them things.
Thank you, Texter. Appreciate that. All right, now proceed with your diving instructions.
All right, here we go. Now, we're not going to jump in the bowl. We're going to jump in the tank this morning. Now, that's the
better.
thing. That's the one that holds the water that goes down into the bowl.
That's right. That's the one, if you're doing it right, is the one that's behind you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you're doing the hiney shuffle.
Oh, that's true.
Then you're facing it. Well, that's another story with that. We won't go there either. But anyway, here we go. So, this extremely intelligent, gifted musician, and I can just go on and on with this person's accolades.
Yes.
Of all the things that he can do and has accomplished and will still be doing them for years and years and years, had a problem. The problem was he couldn't flush his toilet. When he said that, I looked at him and I said, do what? And he said, I can't flush my toilet. I said, have you tried pushing the little handle there behind it? He says, yes, but it doesn't do anything. And I tried to fix it. I said, uh-oh, you tried to fix it. He says, yeah. I said, what did you do? He said, well, I lifted the lid off of the tank, and I looked down in there. Mm-hmm. And I think there was that little piece of plastic that's laying in the bottom of the tank is supposed to be attached to the little lever that you push to make the little flapper go up and down.
Yeah.
I said, you're right.
So far, so
good. He said, well, it's not. I said, okay. He says, well, I tried to fix it, and I did something wrong. I said, well, what did you do? He says, well, on the back of that little handle, there was a nut, and I took my pliers, and I got to turning on it, and no matter how I did it, I could not get that nut to turn loose. And then something bad happened. I said, what's that? He says, there was a crack that come up in that tank.
Uh-oh.
He said, it just started. It was only about a couple of inches, but I'm afraid to do anything else. You got to come over here. So I said, all right, give me about an hour, and I'll be over there. I got to finish up with another little thing I'm doing. So I go over there, and I walk in there, and this gifted person had out a brand new pair of channel locks. Mm-hmm. He had a screwdriver. He even brought his toolbox in. It was never been used. Even had resembled what yours had in it, that Phillips head screwdriver.
Uh-huh.
but he didn't have my card in the lid.
So that's
anyway,
not good.
Here we go. So I look at it and I said, okay, well, what'd you do? And he said, well, I was tightening that, or trying to unscrew that nut on the back, thought I'd get that handle off.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. So I reached in my pocket and I got a little pair of little baby pliers that I keep with me for doing supply lines and things like that, so you don't put too much torque on them. And I reached down and just simply turned the nut and off it came. He said, what'd you do? I just unloosened your nut there and we took it off, and I'll go out in the truck and I'll get you another toilet handle. He said, no. What did you do? And I said, I told you, I just unscrewed it and backed it off. He says, I couldn't get it to budge. And then it dawned on me. Mm-hmm. He was screwing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
The toilet handles, very few people know this, but the threads on those are cut backwards.
Yeah, it's not righty.
Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
It's righty-loosey, lefty-tighty, or something like that.
And it's all-girl orchestra.
That's right. But, yeah, he was screwing it the wrong way, and he actually was tightening it when he thought he was loosening it, and he cracked the tank on his toilet. Well, I got it all undone. And put a new one on there, but the one I put on there was metal. Mm-hmm. It wasn't plastic.
Right.
And he saw that it was rubbing the sides of the tank when I put it on. He said, well, that doesn't go there. He says, you got to have one that's got a little curve in it. I said, I'm fixing to fix that. And he said, well, I want to see that. And I said, okay, here you go. And I reached down there and I just bent it.
Yeah.
I bent it. It's metal. That's what they used to be, metal.
Yeah. Pot metal.
Yeah, and you just bent it to fit the contour of your little rounded tank that he had. He had one of them little fancy toilet bowls that had a curved
kind
tank.
of curved on the side. I ran into that with my daughters one time.
Yeah. And these crazy people now, speaking of that, the insanity of people that make these toilets now where you've got two buttons to push.
We got a safety switch now?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
It's a button that you push if all you did was tinkle.
Yeah.
And then you got the second you got the second button if you did the big dirty.
Oh, Lord, help me.
Why do you have to do that? Just one flush will do it.
Just look around you, man. That'll tell you why you have to do that. They're everywhere.
It's like they make up stuff to try to sell you. I don't get it.
Hey, this texter right here has it all covered.
Okay.
Don't matter how smart or how intelligent you think you are. Uh-huh. Texter says the fuzzy end of the broom goes on the floor, you doofus. Texter, you talk about getting to the heart of the matter now. That's right. Going to do it right there. Let's see. Hey, question. It says, why did you fix the handle if the tank was cracked?
Huh?
The guy said that there was a crack in the tank.
Yeah.
He said, why'd you fix the handle if the tank was cracked?
Well, it really wasn't cracked all the way through. It had a little surface crack on it on the inside, didn't make it to the outside.
Right.
So what I did, and I didn't mention this on the air, but what I did is I took a little dab of silicone, put it on the end of my finger, and then wiped it on the inside, and the water line didn't get up that high. So I wasn't really worried about water coming out, but that would seal that crack a little bit.
Okay, so that was up higher than the water line then.
You remember that? Was you not paying attention a couple of weeks ago?
Probably not.
when someone swapped out the inside of the toilet and the overflow tube was too high.
Yes.
And the water started coming out the toilet handle.
Right. Okay.
You know, that's not an added feature. It's not supposed to be that way.
There's not a third button for that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
I'm still going back to that. I have not seen one of these new fandangle things, and that is the dumbest thing I have ever heard. What does it do? Disperse more water if you push button 1 and then button 2?
It's one of these so-called water conservation things. So it's like they figure you don't have to have a complete flush if all you do is add a little more water in there.
Yeah. Well,
and
so far, believe it or not, they're making sense.
Yeah, but they don't put it on the side of the tank. First one I ever found, it was kind of embarrassing because I couldn't figure out how to flush the toilet. because they put the button on the top of the lid.
You should call the musician.
Well, I mean, I'm standing up. I turned around, and I'm literally, my head's bent down, and I'm looking for the handle. It's not there.
It's a push button.
It's a push button on the top.
Yeah,
That's
right
just
in the
wrong.
middle, a big chrome button right in the middle of the top. I've
yeah.
seen that, but I haven't seen that other button.
Oh, yeah. They
That
got
is
all
nuts.
these crazy, you know.
You know, when they first came out with those limited flow toilets, everybody and their brother would get a brick or a half a gallon jug and fill it up with water and put it in there so more water would come in. I mean, it's, you know.
You know what they use in Florida?
Lizards?
No.
What?
Balloons.
Balloons.
They will put a balloon in your toilet.
Okay.
I can just imagine that thing popping.
Slinging water all over the place.
Water's going everywhere.
A balloon full of water?
No,
What?
it's
Oh,
a balloon
just a
full of
balloon.
air, but it's a fancy balloon.
Oh.
They pay $4 for these things, and it does the same thing as a brick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's why don't they just adjust the flow? Now, back in the day when you had a metal arm and a bulb on the end of your flush valve in your tank,
Yeah.
you just reached down there and you bent the
Bent the
arm
rod, yeah.
and adjusted the level of your water.
Sure.
Now you have these fluid masters,
Yep.
and you turn them.
Slide up and down a little pole, yeah.
Well, no, you used to have the little slide up and down the pole. Now they've done away with that.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, the modern ones now.
I'm changing mine out today.
You have to screw this little doohickey down,
Okay.
and it adjusts it up and down,
Right.
and it's terribly. No need to be that complicated.
It's just a commode,
Yeah,
folks.
that's all it is. But
Yes.
anyway.
Or a water closet or a toilet, however you want to make it, right?
That's right.
All right, don't forget now where the phone lines are available. Give us a buzz here at 731-891-6161. And texters, you know how to do it, 731-410-7560, the Victory Honda text line. This is Tricks of the Trade. We're going to take about 90 seconds, and we'll be right back.
I don't feel like I'm 23 anymore. Lack of energy during the day, difficulty sleeping, reduced mental focus and memory, weight gain, including belly fats, reduced sexual desire, and performance. Studies show after the age of 30, most people produce 3 to 10% less hormones each year, and I felt it. I decided to do something about it. But I didn't want 152 shots of synthetic testosterone per year. What I discovered is changing my life. All testosterone replacement is not the same. Hormone pellets contain the same chemical structure as your body's natural hormones. They're placed under the skin and release bioidentical testosterone consistently to the bloodstream and last up to 6 months. Same thing with estrogen for females. I feel great. I don't want youth wasted on the young. I want it wasted on me. Feeling better for you can start with a simple phone call. Dr. Shannon Bone at Advanced Rehab and Medical. It's 731-503-4277. It's 503-4277. Call today. 731-503-4277. You'll be glad you did.
Here at Jackson Off-Road, we are a complete automotive service center that does work on area business fleets, servicing and repairing both diesel and gas engines. Our experienced technicians and advanced technology will upgrade your company's vehicle's performance, saving you significant dollars. Graham Snack Food said, Jackson Off-Road keeps our fleet of vehicles on the road in a timely manner, regardless of what repairs are required or what time of the day or night we call for service or repair. Jackson Off-Road, online and on the 45 bypass.
This is WTJS, Alamo, Jackson, and WKBL, Covington, News Talk, West Tennessee.
Thank you, Dan. It is 8:36. It is a Saturday morning. This is Tricks of the Trade with John Allen at 93.1 WTJS. We're also on y'all.com, Facebook Live, News Talk West Tennessee, and News Talk Jackson right now, YouTube a little bit later in the morning. And we're gonna talk something it has to do with sheetrock here in just a couple of minutes. But we got another text coming in, and it says, we have recently started noticing our cabinet doors don't close properly anymore. Could it be a foundation problem?
I doubt it.
What is it?
Well, it's probably humidity. You know, July, August, and the early parts of September are the most humid months around here.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll swell up and catch. And I think what you'll do is you'll find about December and January, those doors will be fitting just fine and closing like they're supposed to. Now, you can go in there and do some adjustments on the hinges to make them work. If you've got what's called a European hinge, which most modern cabinets now have those. They're fully adjustable, whereas the old type that you had the hinge mounted on the outside and 2 screws that went into the style of your cabinet.
Right.
They're a little more difficult. You have to get out the matchsticks or little slivers of wood and maybe a cardboard box and slide under them to make them adjust them.
Right.
And but you can do that, but it probably has to do more with humidity.
Okay, there you go, Texter. And any other comments or other questions about that, just give us a text back and we'll pick it up and run with it. Now, we're going to talk about sheetrock and doing something that we used to do when we were kids and not let anybody know we were doing it.
I gotta lead up to this. You and I do a show on Thursday.
Yes.
And I'll get on about 2:15, and we'll have a little about 30 minutes of nonsense. And I was telling a little story about my dog rolling in a pile of dead frogs the other day, and I got in all kinds of trouble with the missus.
Yep.
But I was actually going to tell her about this next thing to try to stay out of trouble.
Uh-huh.
But after getting into so much trouble with my dog, I just held off on that one.
It just didn't matter.
But it didn't matter. But I was taught a little trick long time ago by an old carpenter that did home improvement, did a lot of sheetrock patching.
Right.
And he kept some lipstick in his toolbox.
Okay.
Which was a little odd. And I didn't ask too many questions.
That's right. What he does after work's his business.
That's right. What he does, that's right. But finally the time came and I was with him, and he pulled that lipstick out. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, what's he going to do? Well, we were patching a piece of sheetrock. And in this piece of sheetrock, which the piece we were putting in was about a 4x4 piece, half sheet of sheetrock.
Right.
And it had a couple of receptacles in it. Well, if you got to cut around receptacles, you want them to fit right.
Yeah.
You don't want to get it too big. You gotta really watch your measurements and do all that, because it's nothing worse than putting up a piece of sheetrock and have a big old gap beside the receptacle or the switch that your plate won't cover, and then you got to go back and patch it again. Well, what he would do is he would cut his piece of sheetrock the size it needed to be, but he didn't cut out for the receptacles or the switches.
Yeah.
And I kind of wondered why he didn't do that until I watched him. He took that lipstick,
okay,
and he run it around the edge on top of the receptacle boxes. In other words, like the top of the box there.
Yeah, the part to
yeah,
stick it
he
out.
put a heavy coat of lipstick on it. And then he took that piece of sheetrock and he put it in there like he was going to nail it to the wall.
Right.
But what he did, he was just pressing it up against those receptacles and switches. And when he pulled it off, there was a perfect imprint of where that box was. It's called smooching.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's called smooching your sheetrock. Well, when you try to tell a young person that, they don't really get the concept. You gotta tell them about it. But the other day I did this. This happened to be the day that I got in trouble with Fuzzbutt and the frogs.
Yeah, and the frogs.
And I had about a 4x4 piece I had to put in, and I keep a tube of lipstick and an old pair of pantyhose in my truck all the time, which is another story, but I'll get to that after a while. But anyway, I took the lipstick out and I smooched the sheetrock and put it up there.
Okay.
All right, now, what I did wrong, because I was in a hurry, I didn't want to saw out this receptacle box in the person's house and get that sawdust everywhere.
Yeah.
So I took it outside. Well, when I picked it up, I'm carrying it. Sheetrock's 4 foot wide, so you got to get under it and lean it up against you.
Sure.
It leans against your shoulder. Well, I put the smooch side in instead of the smooch side out. Right. So when I got finished, I didn't know it, but I had a big old lipstick stain on the back side of my shoulder. Well, many, many years ago when that happened, I had some explaining to do.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I had to demonstrate and go out and show this person the tube of lipstick. Yeah, it was a purple stick at that time.
Okay.
It wasn't even red. Wasn't my color. But anyway, I went home the other night and got into so much trouble with Fuzzbutt and the dead frogs that I just took my shirt off and went in there and started my own laundry. I didn't even want to talk about it.
You just wash it yourself.
I was just going to wash it and get it over with.
Yep.
And I didn't even say anything to the missus about that.
Now, if there's a group of do-it-yourselfers out there that had a little sheetrock work to do today, and they just hearing this for the first time, when you mark the receptacle box with your whatever shade you like.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be the long-lasting kind.
Yeah, you don't have to go to Ulta Beauty to get it. You can just get it at the dime store.
There you go. Get it up there at the grocery store now.
Yeah.
So when you tilt that sheetrock up on there, are you tilting the good side or the back side?
The back side, just like you were putting it on the wall.
We just want to make that clear.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you're going to have smooch marks all over your paint.
That's right. You just lean it up there and then pop the front with the palm of your hand, and it makes the imprint. And you take it off.
And go saw.
And go saw it out, and there you go. No fancy measuring. Don't have to get your tape out. Don't have to worry if you went from left to right or right to left and all that fancy ciphering you got to do to get those measurements.
Right.
You just smooch it.
You just smooch it and rock on.
Yeah.
That is a trick of the trade.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Interesting. Talking to John Allen on Tricks of the Trade this morning. It is a Saturday, and we're getting a little taste of fall out there today. It sure does feel nice.
Oh, man.
Wait till next week. We got a high coming. I think it's Wednesday, maybe, unless they moved it forward or backward. 78 degrees for the high.
Oh, I like
Sounds
that.
like an attic day for John Allen Company.
Yeah, we're going to probably take another break right now, but when we get back, this cool weather reminded me of a little story about the worst whooping I ever got at hog killing time, and I'm going to tell that story.
Yep. We got a guy that's texting us today, or a person texting us today that he knows his stuff.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, this is the broom guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, I found that autumn sunrise really complements the sheetrock color.
There you go.
So next time you go to the store, autumn sunrise.
To each his own.
That's right.
Each his own.
Comes in a pack of 2. We're 90 seconds away from either being turned off or doing commercials. So we're going to do some commercials, hear from some folks that support us, and we'll be right back.
We've been fighting the war on drugs for a long time. We answer the phone 24/7, 365 days a year. On a busy night, we answer hundreds of calls. This war on drugs needs our intervention.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has helped people struggling with drugs and alcohol.
When the phone rings, we help people when they need it the most. When we get a caller into treatment, it feels good. It's a blessing.
If you're struggling, drinking, using, and need to get clean, don't suffer alone in silence. Call Addiction Hope and Helpline.
Our people understand, and many are also in recovery. Call for support and strength. You can call for someone who can't or isn't willing. It's an act of love. Together we can help you beat this thing and erase addiction from your vocabulary once and for all.
Call 800-520-5228. 800-520-5228. 800-520-5228.
We're more than just printing. With XMC, the possibilities are endless. Let XMC, your Xerox authorized sales agent, help take your business to the next level. Whether you need electronic document management to update your office, a projector system for your boardroom, a high-tech flat panel welcome center in your lobby, or an upgrade to your existing office equipment, visit xmcinc.com and let XMC and Xerox handle your product installation from start to finish, as well as providing all technical support. With 9 territories in the Southeast, XMC has you covered.
It is Saturday morning. It is Tricks of the Trade, and it's a shame you can't be here on the set with us with the mics turned off. You think it's crazy when it's on? It can get even crazier when it's not. John Allen is here, and you had something you wanted to tell us, but we got another text. Let me do that right quick. Says, should treated or untreated wood be used to replace rotted fascia behind gutters and under the eaves? Thank you.
If you're behind a gutter and it's aluminum, don't ever put treated lumber up next to aluminum. It will cause little pinholes within 6 months because the treatment in the osmosis treated wood will eat the aluminum up. So if you're going to paint it now, you'll be all right. And you can use treated, and I prefer to use treated.
Yeah.
But you got to put a coat of paint on it. So make sure you put something on it to where the aluminum of your gutters does not treat the raw the raw treated wood.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's just some kind of chemical reaction between the two.
Yeah, I mean, it eats it up.
Makes pinholes in the aluminum.
It's exactly right.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Texter. We have another one coming in. Okay, this one's a long one, so here we go. Sorry about that. Couldn't get to the switch quick enough. My wife bought a dehumidifier and placed it in a large master bathroom. She says it makes the air more breathable. After running for about 2 months, I've noticed the grout on some of the tile has fallen out, and the taped seams on the ceiling sheetrock are beginning to show. Is this coincidence or caused by the dehumidifier? Da-dun.
Well,
Careful, she may be listening.
yeah. I would say it's a little bit of both, because the dehumidifier is taking the moisture out of the air, which will cause your surfaces to shrink a little bit if it's a long-term situation.
Okay.
But you probably had a poor tape job on your sheetrock to begin with, and it wouldn't necessarily cause the grout to come out unless there was an excessive amount of moisture in the grout, and that would be a little hard to do anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say no, it dried things out like it was supposed to, and if you had a problem before, it amplified it. But to cause the problem, no, I don't think so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you see many when you're out and about and looking at people, pipe boogers and things like that? Do a lot of people use dehumidifiers on their central system in this part of the world?
Well, an air conditioner is a dehumidifier.
Well, that's true, yeah.
But people will use one even more and dry things out. It's very common to be used, but you don't need to run them 24/7 because it'll get your throat a little scratchy. It takes all the moisture. You need a little bit of moisture in the air.
Yeah, in order to be able to breathe properly. Yeah.
That's right. But it's okay. I find more people putting in humidifiers than I do.
Maybe that's what I was thinking about. They used to make add-on things you could put on your central unit.
Yeah.
That was a humidifier.
That was a humidifier. It actually added moisture to the air, and you use that in the winter months all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't walk across the carpet and electrocute the cat.
That's right.
Yeah.
Even though you wanted to.
You wanted to.
A little Chevy Chase
that's right.
Christmas tree.
Oh, man. But they're so cute when they're little.
Yeah, but then they grow up, kind of like babies.
They become, well, not exactly.
Yeah.
You went to an unveiling the other day that is becoming more common. We won't get into the whole story of it, but you went to a gender reveal. Now, I have not been invited to one of those, although I too have another grand person coming.
That's right.
And it's going to be a girl, we're told. And,
good.
Yeah, so actually this is not a grand girl. This is a great grand girl.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, my hair started turning whiter just the minute I heard that.
Oh.
And my wife is not admitting to it. She's not going to call herself that just yet. So we got some work to do. Just kidding, Addie. We can't wait. Anyway, so yours was a girl too?
No, it's a boy.
It's a boy. Okay.
Yeah.
So everything turned blue at the proper time.
No, there was more to it.
Uh-oh. we don't have that much time. We'll save that one for another show.
Well, let's save that one for another show.
All right, we have 2 texts coming in. We got about 9 minutes left in the show this morning. First text, speaking of dehumidifiers, do you think one would work in the winter to help with sweating walls as a result of poor insulation in the walls and the use of propane?
Yes.
It would?
Yes.
Okay. There you go, texter.
Gas, heat, propane, and natural. You will get sweating on the walls sometimes, and you'll get gooey runs that run down the wall from the ceiling down about 2 or 3 feet.
Yeah.
And it's like tar.
What is
it's
it?
It's just the moisture.
Okay.
From the
pulling
heat
out,
system.
pulling out the dirt in the walls.
Yeah, floor furnaces used to do that all the time, and that's why you had to put a little put a Crisco can on the top and fill it full of water.
Yeah. Gets to keep it a little wet in the air. Yeah, I remember that quite well. And you could get in a lot of trouble when you accidentally ran through there when you wasn't supposed to be running and kicked that can over.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Been there, done that.
Yeah. I think my brother still has checkered feet from
waffle foot, they called it.
Waffle foot from standing on the grate too long, and he was too young, to get off. He just sat there and squalled. And he just had those cutest little waffle feet. Went right through his feety pajamas.
Oh Lord, he could take a pancake and stand on it for a minute and make a waffle out of it. Right? Oh Lord. I'm not. No, we're not. We got him last week. Somebody, you said something about him last week, and somebody texted in and said, "Oh, that's why Philip is like
that's
he
right.
is." Yeah, so we better leave him alone.
We'll leave him alone.
Here's another text coming in, and thank you, texters. We appreciate it. Mr. Allen, my carpenter chum, now up above, told me, as you did, an old wise man's tip, and went something like this. When you basically framed out a house and hanging the doors, etc., see here, John, you always add another 1/4 inch so that it allowed perfect squaring of angles, or ring a bell?
Yeah.
His dad was head of public school maintenance his whole career here. Somebody knows you. Yeah. Interesting.
Now, I wasn't head of public maintenance.
No, but the person who gave you that tip was.
Yeah, that's right. You always made your opening. In other words, if you had a 3-foot door, 3 foot wide, you always added 2.5 inches to allow for your jamb, which would give you a 1/2 inch on each side, to square it up. And then you use shims. That's something they don't do anymore.
Oh, really?
But you would
when you buy it as a package now, don't you?
Yeah, you buy it as a package and you put it in. It's already got the outside trim on it.
Mm-hmm.
But then you need to put shims in to stabilize that door to keep it from growing and expanding in contraction. So if your house wasn't exactly square or plumb or level, you could twist that door. Otherwise, your door kind of want to open on its own.
Yeah.
And that'll make a good story one day. These doors that just have a tendency to creep open by themselves, and how to fix that.
I have one of those, and you've told me how to fix it, but I haven't done it yet.
Well, that's all right.
So far, it's been easier just to push it again.
Well, we'll do that.
We'll do that. Here's another text. In the same texter, it says his dad was Malcolm Mac Evans.
Huh. Right.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Here's another one. Another text in here says, that's why a lot of old house doors don't stick unless the floor gets unlevel.
That's right.
Because they had a little room to maneuver.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Excellent. Okay. We got about 5 minutes left. You got time to tell us about getting the worst whooping, and for you Yankee Americans out there, whipping you ever got?
I could probably do that. We got up cool this morning, and it reminded me of hog killing time on the farm.
Oh, yeah.
Back in Carroll County. And normally that would happen in February, where it was below freezing, and you didn't want it to get above freezing all day long because you had to butcher a hog.
Yeah.
So me and my granddaddy would take his little 22 single shot, and he'd say, come on, Johnny. And he'd grab a wheelbarrow and his gun, and we'd go out where the hogs were, and he'd say, which one you want? And I said, that one. Well, he'd shoot it in the head. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, he'd roll a wheelbarrow up beside the hog. The hog was eating. And then he'd shoot him, and the hog would fall over in the wheelbarrow.
In the wheelbarrow, of course.
And we'd roll him down, string him up by his hind feet, take a hatchet and split him open. They don't do things like this anymore.
No, you got people fainting all over the place.
That's probably so. But anyway, we'd split him open, clean him out, throw him in the scalding vat, and start processing the hog.
Right.
Well, in part of with a hog, you eat everything. Everything is eat. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Everything. Rooter to the tutor.
And one of the things that you had to deal with was the intestines.
Mm-hmm.
And you made chitlins. Now, a lot of you rural people out there, y'all know what chitlins are. City folks don't know too much about what it is, but we had to take care of chitlins. Well, one of my first things I had to do was to go stand by the yard hydrant. We had a stick out of the ground yard hydrant.
Oh yeah, everybody had one of those.
And you had this pile of chitlins, and they were about 3 foot long, 2 to 3 foot long, depending on how you snipped them up.
Right.
Had to clean them.
Yes.
Well, you would pick up. Now, if you know what a hog's intestines is, now you gotta know, and you gotta know what's inside those things.
Yeah.
Well, what the deal was is you'd grab one end with your hand and you'd put it up over the end of your yard hydrant and hold it. Make a fist and hold it.
Like you do in a water balloon.
Yeah. And then you take your other hand and you turn the faucet on, and the force of the water would throw the insides out the other end.
Would clean it.
Would clean it out.
Yeah.
And then you'd put it in a big old cast iron vat that was boiling over there on the open fire, and you would scald the chitlins.
Yes.
I was doing real good cleaning them chitlins. I'd got over the fact of what was really inside, and I'd done them so long that the odor didn't
didn't bother you
too much, because what we used to do is take a handkerchief, put a little brute on it, and tie it around your face.
That's cheating.
The smell of the brute would take away from the hog poop.
Yep.
So anyway, here I am just hooking them intestines up to the end of the hose, and I'm turning it on, and I'm throwing the stuff out the other end.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I got snatched up by my shoulder, and a switch commenced to going on my hind end.
Whoa, now. What'd you do?
Well, I just splattered Granddaddy and the county sheriff. I had just blew out one end of an intestines, and it caught got the shoe and the breeches leg of the sheriff. It was an ugly sight.
I could imagine.
I didn't mean to do it.
Yep. At least you didn't hit him in the badge.
But I didn't do it no more. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yep. Of course, if you were way out in the country and you didn't have one of them spigots what come up out of the ground like
That's right.
had all them amenities like you had.
That's right.
They did them. They clean them two ways. They either fence whoop them
or stump
sling them. Yeah, that's right.
Stump slung or fence whoop.
Now, y'all work on that for a little while, and you'll figure out exactly what that's all about. Texter, we got to get out of here in just a minute. I know this is completely off the subject. There was a subject?
There was a subject.
Okay. Thank you, Texter. No, completely off the subject. But have you ever been in a house that you've seen something that, do you feel like it was haunted or something? It was unexplainable. You ever been in a haunted situation?
I'm sure I have, and I'm trying to yeah.
That might make a good topic for next week. So why don't you think about that and see if any, maybe you put something in a house and you turned around and it had moved a half an inch from where you put it, something, or you saw a ghostly figure.
Things that crawl around.
Yeah.
I can do a real good show on things that crawling around when you're in tight spaces.
We'll take that up next week here on Tricks of the Trade on Saturday morning at 8:00 here on 93.1. One final text in relation to the hosing of the chitlin.
Yes.
Said you must have been really hungry.
It's one of those things that you did, but you didn't eat them.
You can count on that. It's been fun, man. Always good to be with you.
We did all right for not knowing what we were going to do an hour ago.
Yeah, we're getting good at that.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody. They want us to do it again. Let's do it next week. What do you think?
All right.
All right, let's get out of here.